Hi, so I recently posted about my thoughts on Trump and went over to Reddit and the subreddit The Donald and posted it there, and it's been an amazing outpouring of support and kindness and really encouraging comments, and I am so grateful and I appreciate everything that you guys had to say. It made me feel welcomed and relieved and just awesome. So I want to talk about labels because there are labels that we put on ourselves and there are labels that we put on others. And I think it's really important to go to the individual to see what they define their label as and to get their honest opinion on themselves and on what they're trying to express to the world when they use a particular term. I put a lot of labels on myself. I call myself a queer, polyamorous, atheist, feminist, and all of those are very loaded words, and they all mean something very important to me, and it's worth engaging in a conversation about what they are. And I want to talk about being a feminist in Trump's America and how it's been affecting me. Kind of started when my girlfriend said something along the lines of, "I can't believe I'm dating a feminist." And I got defensive about that. I didn't understand. I mean, I've got my beautiful feminist bumper sticker on the back of my car, and I have these values that I uphold, and I was confused. And I started being a little accusational, and I was like, feminists have paved the way for you. She is a beautiful, intelligent, transgender woman. And I was like, how can you not see that? But the more we engaged in these different conversations, the more I realized that we were talking about very different things. And she was talking about third wave radical feminists and what her views were on them and their behavior. And my values, I realized, lie in a classical perspective of feminism. The one that says feminism is the radical notion that women are people. Starting from there, kind of going out from there as the basis of it. Quick note, there's an amazing and really short article on foundationforeconomiceducation.com. It's by Eileen L. Wittig, written in August 26, 2016, and she explains what I'm going to be kind of rambling about in a really beautiful, succinct way. So I'm saying third wave feminists, and I'm also kind of saying radical feminists at the same time, which can be a little inflammatory, and I'm aware of that. But that's kind of my opinion and how I see it. So it's come to light more and more in like Trump's America of what this social climate around feminism is at this point in our culture. And I don't believe that people should be judged based on their gender. I readily acknowledge the difference between genders of all on the gender spectrum, and I acknowledge that people can have particular strengths or weaknesses, but their gender shouldn't necessarily be considered as a positive or a negative in any particular field. So I don't like either insulting or complimenting someone using their gender. For example, of course I wouldn't say, "You throw pretty good for a girl," condescending. And what does that even mean? Then there's the term like mansplaining. I'm not going to tell a guy who's being a condescending asshole that he's mansplaining something to me. I'm just going to call it what it is, like he's being a douchebag and a condescending asshole. I don't think that gender really has to play into it. In classical feminists, the people that paved the way, they wanted socioeconomic equality, they wanted voting rights, they wanted property rights, they wanted to be able to have their endeavors in different fields and to be recognized as independent people. And throughout this 20th century, it's been amazing. I don't know if it has any other precedent in history about how far women have come in being able to establish themselves and to thrive. But I think that there's also a lot of misogyny left. I am not discounting that at all. But I would say that one encounter with a man that makes a misogynistic comment to me does not mean that I expect the next 10 men that I run into to prove themselves to me that they're not misogynist or to make up for the guy that made that comment to me. I'm just going to call it what it is. It was an awful misogynistic comment, and I'm not going to paint men with a broader brush than that. I'm going to evaluate the individual. I don't think men are awful, and I've had some amazing guy friends growing up, and I've got amazing guy friends now, and I'm not saying that they're always the exception. I'm going to say that I'm going to go out into the world and think the best of the men that I encounter in my life until they prove me otherwise. And as a victim of sexual assault, I should be the one that has a huge amount of vitriol towards men in the broad stroke of the brush. But I've tried to keep my head and not actually do that to an entire gender. And I think that in Trump's America, I've just seen a lot of like what I kind of referenced as the pussy hats. Like, I'm not going to run around with the pussy hat talking about how great my pussy is and I should be like elevated for being my particular gender. I would love it to be properly acknowledged, but I think it's kind of crass. And also know that there is a variety of people on the gender spectrum that trans women are women and behave as such and act as such and should be acknowledged as such, and they don't have a vagina or a pussy. So where does that put them in the midst of all of the that kind of third wave feminists? I think that they now see that minorities and women have been under the scourge of men or white males in their life, and so now the culture and society has to make it up to them and make it up to them tenfold. And going back to the conversations with my girlfriend, she recently graduated with her second degree and was applying for a variety of fields, a variety of jobs in the fields of computer engineering. And she mentioned to me that she didn't want to be hired because she was a woman. She didn't want that to be the statistic that somebody was adding to their company, the little check in the box, like, we're going to have more women engineers. She wanted to be hired based on her intelligence and her competency. And that's very admirable. And she didn't realize it at the time, but she's also a classical feminist. So we both came together and kind of agreed on all of these points, and both of us came to our own individual realizations and the thoughts and feelings about the term feminism and how we define it and use that label in our own lives. I'm just putting a couple of things out there. I encourage you to read that short article by Eileen Wittig and throw some thoughts back at me and comment, and we can kind of talk about this some more. It'd be great. And I just want to support all genders and to think all of us as human beings that are trying to do our best and to go into life more as open-minded as possible and to evaluate the individual and the people that I encounter as their own person. All right, well, thank you for listening again, making it to the end of the video, and share your thoughts. So, thanks to you all. Bye.